The woman used only 2 fingers to drive the stick into the stake. She then arrogantly thought that she was the only one who could do it. But the guy next to her looked disdainful. He just exerted a little force and drove the stick through the stake. The woman was not convinced and said that she could do it with all her strength. But the next second, the stake suddenly turned into debris with a bang. Everyone was stunned, because before this, they always thought that the guy was the worst in the whole Shaolin temple, and he only knew how to drink and eat meat, and never practiced martial arts. So the abbot and his fellow disciples thought he was a waste without talent. But what they didn't know was that the young man's martial arts had actually entered the realm of gods, and he became the first on the conferred god list. He just let go lightly and cracked the 10,000 genestone directly. But he looked down on this garbage list, so he shattered the list with a drop of wine. When the master found that the first strongman had appeared and rushed to the conferred god list to check, the name on the conferred god list had been erased, and only the footprints on the ground symbolized that the strong man had been there. Just when the master was regretting missing the strong man, the sky suddenly became overcast, which meant that the saint of the god of war palace, who ranked 7th on the conferred god list, had arrived, and the master hurried to greet her. At this time, the young man was just practicing piling with his fellow apprentices. Suddenly a strong light fell from the sky, and then a woman led several men towards the young man. It turned out that the saint of the god of war palace and the young man had been engaged since childhood, and this time the woman came to help the saint break off the engagement with the young man. So the scene at the beginning happened. The woman originally thought that she could scare the young man, but she was humiliated by him instead, so she was furious. At this moment, the saint descended from the sky. Then she walked to the young man, took out the marriage certificate and threw it directly on the ground, then stepped on it, saying that if the young man was willing to cancel the marriage, she could compensate him and let him enter the war god palace as an errand disciple. But the young man was unmoved, and even threatened that in their family, there was only divorce, not canceling the marriage. Seeing this, the woman on the side was angry and used her power to teach the young man a lesson, but was knocked to the ground by the young man. Seeing this, the saint clenched her fists and angrily scolded the young man for disturbing her state of mind, then drew out her sword, and used the sword to force the young man's master and fellow apprentices to retreat again and again, spitting blood. But what shocked the saint was that the young man did not move at all, so she increased her power again, and then the young man finally couldn't bear it, was knocked out, and then fell heavily to the ground and fainted. Everyone thought the young man was doomed, but in fact he just fell into an illusion. Here he remembered that his mother was controlled by a snake demon when he was a child. In order to prevent her from becoming a puppet of the snake demon, he had to inject his divine power into his mother's brows and turn her into stone to seal her completely. The last words his mother said at that time were that he should go to Shaolin Temple to guard the order of the gods on her behalf to prevent the demons and monsters from getting the order and endangering the world. At this time, the saint also knew that the order of the gods was hidden in Shaolin Temple, so in order to quickly improve her cultivation, she decided to break into Shaolin Temple to seize the order of the gods. But the masters and disciples of Shaolin Temple swore to defend the order of the gods to the death. At the critical moment, the young man grabbed the sword that the woman was about to chop at her fellow disciples.